Well, just before Andrew started filming this episode, he stopped at the local petrol station with a Mark 1 Focus in front. But can you tell what the heck is wrong with that thing? Oh my god, I've literally just spoken to the owner about it and told him that is seriously dangerous. It's carrying a load on the roof. Oh my giddy aunt, the spring has decided to go through the cup. This is just absolutely... Oh no. Guys, you need to check your arms if you've not checked it out. I've told the owner you really need to get that sorted. If that spring goes, your life is in God's hands. Oh dearie me. Please check your arms. Before I get the Focus out, that is a reminder that you must check your rear arms. Although those of you are going to say, did you tell the man? Yes, of course I did. And suffice to say, he's just someone who happens to own an old Ford Focus because it's a cheap car, and he really didn't care what I'd said. He literally said, oh, that's the guy's job, is it? Well, obviously yes. Oh, okay. And he walked off with his backpack to do his shopping. Madness. Well, as you can hear, the Focus is out to play. She's idling nice and sweet. A little bit stuttery on startup, which is usual, being that it's been in a very cold garage, and it has gone extremely snappy in the last couple of weeks, so as to be expected. In fact, there was so much condensation in the exhaust, I thought that my car was blowing out coolant. Turns out it was just orangey rusty water. Anyway, today is about looking at your heater linkages. Quite important this time of the year, and the truth is, should have done this a few months ago. It would have been a bit more timely for the winter, but better late than never. Looking at the heater linkages, there is such a common fault with this car, and it is called the heater distribution control cables. Okay, there's two of them. One of them snaps readily. Why? We're going to look at the reason and to go over what we can do to stop it. She purrs so nicely. I had to put a bit of silicone lubricant because the belt was, you know, screeching a little bit. Put a bit and it shut up straight away. I'm very happy with what's going on here. Also, quick check. It should be breathing out, okay? Not blowing in, it should be breathing out. It should be positive blowing out. I was expecting to see some mayonnaise condensation, but there's nothing. So, really pleased. Fantastic. Brilliant. Right. Now this is the job we've got for today. I'm just going to leave that to idle because it does need to be run. Now just check the back of the car. And it's gone. There was orangey water coming out, but that's nice now. Smell that. Yummy. They all smell the same. Sigmas and Zetec smell very... it's almost like a graphite sort of smell. I can't describe it, but they all smell the same. But I am equipped with GT85. I forgot my white lithium spray. There's a reason for that, but this is just as good, and it will do a good job on the cheap, considering that these are cheap. Fitted screwdriver, and we're going to need a couple more bits and pieces. But I've just got the heaters on, and if I just come into the car, there is a reason why I've got the towel there. The idle speed has dropped just a little bit. That's fantastic. If you don't know what L006 is, that is the low fuel reading. It's in the secret menu, by the way. The way you access the menu is you turn the car off, turn the ignition off, hold that button for a few seconds, turn the ignition back on, and the gauges will do a sweep, and you are in the hidden menu. And there's loads of different options. You just keep pressing on the button, it will keep up with different options. And this is the low fuel setting, 006. So we are extremely low on the tank. If I just show you where we are on the tank here. But I tell you what, I'm not telling you, I swear to God, I have driven this car when it says 000 and it still drives. But I won't want to push it. So I have got some fuel just in case, but just seems to have lowered the idle a fraction. My idle speed is around 850, and that should be where it should be. It shouldn't be anything less than that unless your pointers are not calibrated properly, and that's possible because the pointers can be a bit inaccurate. Don't ever rely on your gauge for an accurate RPM, believe you me. Yep, all well and good. Now, heaters, ha ha ha, yes, toasty hot, that's what you want, even though it's not hot, it's just warming in. Yep, looking rather good here. And I'll just switch on to number 4. It's a good test of the heater resistor. 1, yep, 1 is barely breathing. 2 is where I find I put it on most of the time. 3, which has the special windscreen symbol, mainly because it's the preferred one to use for demisting the screen, but you have to have it on there. And 4. I always tend to have it on 4 every so often. Mainly if you've got any leaves that may have got past the pollen filter, they will find their way into the heater ducting. So it will go through the pollen filter into the heater ducting. And what I would suggest you do is you do this, you turn it to cold, because it's even more powerful. There you go. Nope, nothing. You will see leaves coming through if you have got leaves and debris in the system. I suggest you get a little pry tool just underneath, hook it up, and these come straight out. I'm not going to do that today, but you get the picture. So that's the first thing. Get rid of your leaves. Now, the course of complaint on this car is, just turn it back to hot, this is never a problem. That is never a problem. There are 2 heater control cables for this car. This one is just a switch. It is an electronic switch that goes straight to the resistor pack. There's some wiring that goes down here and around, and it will go straight to the heater resistor pack slightly down there. You can see some of the wiring. That's the wiring connector for the resistor loom, by the way. It's only a short piece of loom. I might be able to try and show you that bit later, but that's not the priority today. Okay, we know what the cause of that not working is. It's the heating resistor. Sometimes I've known one case where the heater resistor packed up so badly, it not only smoked, it took out the wiring loom as well. It burnt the wiring loom, so you needed that section of wiring loom. It's literally a plug to connect to the resistor, and that big plug that I've shown you there, it's like a wire probably from there to there. It's not much at all, but it goes down that way. So if you're breaking a Mark 1 Focus and stripping for useful pieces, take that bit of the loom. So I'm just going to keep it on there for now. There are 2 cables. We got the one for the heating control. We have got some sort of wire as well as the heater. At the back of this knob, you'll have a single little wire. That's just for the backlighting, more or less. But the cable is what changes the main flap at the body of the heater matrix. It will just open a flap to either cold air from the vents, the atmosphere down there, or it shuts that flap and opens it up to the heat coming from the ducting where the heater fan is. Simple as. Okay, it's just a simple on-off flap. This never goes wrong. Look, that's nice and smooth, that. This one is the pain. This is the one that breaks the heater distribution. There are 2 or 3 flaps that need to be open and diverted in order to change the air direction. So now I've got this problem today, which is why I'm really pleased to be doing this job. It's one of the few jobs that I need to do. Firstly, we've got to your face. So we've got a continuous airstream coming this way. The flaps are probably in the horizontal position at the moment, allowing some air to come this way. There will be some air coming to your feet, believe it or not. But then we start to change direction. And as you come up here, the flaps will sort of divert from this flat position to a sort of downward position. So there's more air coming towards your feet, but still some coming towards your face. So it's a bit of a 50-50. Now this is where it gets a bit stuck. We've obviously got the windscreen where the flaps are completely shut on this side. No heat to you, no air distribution to your feet. It's all going to these top vents across here. So the flap is like that. It's shut in that position and it's only allowing air that way. And obviously you've got a bit to your feet. So again, probably that's mostly to the windscreen, by the way, if you've ever known that. It's somewhat to the windscreen, somewhat to your feet, 50-50. So the flap's kind of like that again. And to your feet, well, the flap is completely down to continue the heat to your feet completely. And obviously then it starts to open out again. It's that's how it works. It's very, very simple. Okay, it's only a couple of flaps that do this work, but for those flaps to do their work, they need to work off a linkage off the side of the heater matrix that we're going to see in a second. But the common fault is it gets stuck around this position. I don't know why it gets stuck around this position. I've studied these flaps and there just seems to be a bit of a tight spot by a design flaw, and I'm afraid that's just the way it is. We have to work with it. So we've got the position where it's to your feet and to your face, so it's kind of like that at the moment, and we want it to be in the down position, but for some reason the flap gets a bit stiff going from that to that. Now the cause of this is not the cable nor that linkage. It is a bit of stiffness naturally around the flaps. What I suggest you do is you get this heater flap, both these heater knobs off, and have a look down just to see what's going on. I'm actually going to see if I can do that without damaging any of this. I haven't got on my pry tools, but I'll have a look to see if I can get it off. That's the first thing, but I'll just demonstrate the problem. See what I mean? See what I mean? Can you hear that? That's the flaps, but they're getting stuck. They're getting stuck around this position. They get stiff. What happens is they get really stiff, and someone goes, yo! Snap. Your cable's just snapped. Your heater distribution to the side of the heater matrix to operate the linkage inside the matrix has snapped. Oh dear. They're not cheap, but they're not expensive, but they're not cheap either. It's just, ugh. I know. It's one of them. Easy as you like. Okay. Right. Okay. So, let's see if we can actually do some twiddling. Right down there, we have a heater flap, which is right down there. Okay. So you got your ducting. I'm just going to turn the flap now. Oh, right. So now I've just turned it to head and feet. Now this is where it gets stuck. Now, what I would advise is absolutely nothing in this scenario, because I'll tell you something, you can try and shoot, don't put WD-40 down there, try and shoot some GT85 down there to see whether you can ease that flap a little bit. I'm just going to turn it all the way around, so it's at face, feet, so you see what I mean, look, face, feet, it's changing direction very slightly. And then it goes to the feet. Face, feet, just to the feet. You see how it works? It's trapped the air and forced it down. And then we've got to the windscreen and feet. There we go, it's completely shut. There was a little bit of a movement there, so clearly some tiny amounts of air allowed to get past. And then windscreen. Now I believe that's another flap that's just open there, because that flap didn't move. So there's obviously that flap, and there's another one. There's usually two sets of flaps working together in rather a coordinated manner, but you can shoot some GT85 down there. That would help to start off with, but you can see kind of where it's going and what's going on. I've just got these out of my spares. Unfortunately, I forgot where the heater cables are. I've got a few of these heater cables and these, but mainly these ones. I've got 3 of them because it's such a problem. This is the wiring loom that I took off a Ford Focus for braking. It is the heated resistor wiring loom. You see that plug there is there. See? Same. Okay, that's how it sits. It kind of sits like that. That goes up, I think, potentially to the heater fan. or that one, I can't remember which one actually. One of them, I think that one goes to the heating resistor and that one goes to the heater fan. Okay, quite important. So that is the heater and heater resistor wiring loom. I would suggest that the parts number is there, but I would definitely look at this. It's come off a 2001. Yeah, so I would definitely check that out. And we've got obviously this. This is the control runners. These are the runners that you're going to see down here. They sit down here like this on the side of the heater matrix, and they transfer the motion of the cables to actual movement of the actual rods that go in the matrix, the linkages. Let's take it open. I'm just going to switch all this off because I'm getting really hot at the moment. And we are going to need a couple of things. Right, we need to get access under there. So instead of contorting my head immeasurably, we need to take off 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 Phillips screws. Simple as. Okay, just take them off. It can be a bit stiff if someone's over tightened them. Some idiot's over tightened these. I wonder who that could be. Just take that out for a second. Okay. There we go. Done. Now we need to disconnect this from the back. Now there's no mean feat about this. We have to kind of push the whole thing, the whole diagnostic connector out from the back side. Okay, so we have to push this way. Oh, and I got asked the question about footwell lights. Look, I've got mine in here, but it wasn't. This was not factory. This was not screwed into that hole. That hole is there by standard. This, I can tell you what, this was taped up in the loom. The loom is pretty much the same around here for most petrol models and diesel, including the interior. Well, possibly not diesel, but definitely the interior wiring on most Mark 1s are the same. And this was wrapped up in the loom around here. So you're going to have to look for this bulb, but it is literally live. It just needs a bulb. Literally, the bulb holder just needs an actual bulb. And then you just press it in and twist it in. If I can actually do so without struggling. I'm going to take that out. There we go. Done. There we go. So you've got a footwell light on this side. And it's the same for that side. It's hiding. It's hiding. You need to find it. It's there. I can assure you. Because look, these are not used on my car because most probably I don't have a clutch. Because these two are linked to the brake pedal switch. I am really pleased because I actually replaced... You see this here, this whole assembly, I actually replaced the actual brake pedal bracket assembly. You just have to take the 4 bolts that hold it onto the servo because I had some severe wear on this shaft. It is a common issue with the automatics to get this. You can't see much movement now, but before it was utterly dreadful. This bush had completely gone, and this is part of the bracket. And I got while the last new old stock brake pedal assemblies, including a brand new rubber as well. But my God, the dust from the paint shop again. I might have to do a bit more cleaning round here than I anticipated. But we have the GM module on the side there with the on top of the ECU. Okay, GM module stands for central locking. And that is what I've got on my Zetec. It has central remote locking configuration, and yes, my ECU is still in its tamper-proof protective casing. Very good indeed. But it's all rather neat, and the heater ducting goes over the top around the steering column. Obviously you've got your pinch nut in case you're changing your rack. I'm about to take that off a couple of times, not for this, but ideally so. And we have what we came for. Yes. I've just turned the ignition straight off. What you got to do is get the diagnostic connector over this little thing. So basically use a screwdriver just to leer that out and try. And well, you shouldn't really pull the wires. That's a really bad idea. But just push with your fingers. There you go, done. And I've taken the bulb out. Oh, I think I'll give that a bit of a clean up in a second, because that's a bit dusty on the back side on the paint shop. I'm going to be doing a bit of cleaning up, more than I anticipated. So there you go. I've got a little torch. There we go. I've got my my little torch. No, that's getting quite hot, that is actually. Right. So we have the foot for the heat for the driver's feet. Yeah, absolutely. That looks great. Now we have the heater cables. So we have the 2 heater distribution cables. Now, if I'm right in thinking, yeah, okay. So the one we want is the top one. This one, which operates on the hot cold. It's not the one we want. That's not the one that breaks. This is the one that breaks commonly. Okay. So if we just see what's going on. Yeah. Now I did previously clean this out, but I didn't do a thorough job of it. So I'm going to do it again and just lubricate it up slightly. Now we could go through the method of just taking this all off, but I'm really going to show you in simple terms. We have got 1, got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4 screws. There's about 4 screws holding this whole thing on. And you can take the whole thing off if you want. You don't necessarily have to, but it's this we want to get to. This. Now we want to make sure that all the old grease is removed. Now I did put a tiny bit of grease on this. Okay. I did put a tiny amount of grease on it. I'll just put a bit more on in a bit. But any sort of grease will do. Multi-purpose, white lithium, that sort of thing. And literally, it's a simple case of getting a can of GT85 or silicone lubricant and just applying just to the runners. Okay, now I'm just going to operate the control fully. There we go. The whole thing turns, the cables turn this inner piece, and that turns this whole mechanism to do the sliding. There we go. Oh, that's much better already. It just gets stuck. This piece just gets stuck. That is the rod. You see this rod here that goes straight in the heater matrix? That simply rides along this runner here. As I say, put some grease on it. I'm going to try and find some grease a bit later, but I don't think I do need it. I think it's literally, it takes a 5 second. This is a 5-second job, guys, to do this. You don't even have to take this panel off. You could probably get your hand round and sort it out. I am going to do a little bit of cleaning, but that's really it. That's a lot better. Oh God, that's much better. It's not getting stuck no more, and that's all you need to do, guys. Oh, I'm sorry if that was a major strip down. You can, if you need more access, get this foot out the way by taking that screw out. Well, actually, it's a clip more or less. Just take that clip out, and then it will just fall off, and then you can get to a bolt round here, and then you can take this off. You can take it all off if you want, and to replace the heater cables, you're going to have to do that anyway. So to replace the heater cable, you're going to have to release this assembly off and then release this cable. It'll be this one that breaks. It'll be the top one that breaks. These two cables go around the corner and under the back of the console into the back of that switch. So you're going to have to take that fascia off, okay? You have to take that fascia off, and then you'll have to take it off from that side. But I think there's quite a few people within the Mark 1 community that are already experts at this job. But the idea is of doing this is that you're preventing the issue rather than dealing with the cause and the symptoms all the time and costing yourself a lot of money. So please do. I am on the original heater cables. Touch wood, that neither of them, particularly the one that snaps, they've not snapped at all. So please bear that in mind. Now there is something I need to show you, just a couple of top tips. Now I always take opportunities to tidy, and I will do so, including the gas pedal. And you see the gas pedal? Right, now where this is your throttle cable, okay? It just pings off the end of the gas, okay? Like that, okay? It pulls that cable. Now that's the shroud that it goes through. Now I would suggest injecting a little bit of GT85 straight into there because it will stop the rubbing between the cable and the shroud. I just think it's best practice. And my straws come off. Well, that was great, but you get the idea. There you go. Good. Be very generous with the amount you apply, and there you go. That will help the cable to not sort of shroud itself on the plastic, or chafe as they call it. I really don't like when things like that potentially could happen, so always bear that in mind. There you go, because it allows things to move freely and not get stiff. I've only known one instance of a gas pedal cable, an accelerator cable on a Mark 1 snapping. And I don't know whether that was through some sort of abuse or some messing around. I would also suggest you have a look at something like the brake pedal switch. Just give that a bit of a clean while you're in here, some contact cleaner, or you do just do what I've just done. You take it out and you put it in, because I often find that actually that cleans the contacts. If you've got no contact cleaner, just take the connection out, put it back, and it will clean the contacts as you're moving it in and out. But we have some missing ones because we don't have a clutch. It's a bit spacious here, isn't it? The manual drivers are looking at this thinking, I wish I had that sort of space. Well, I don't have to deal with a clutch master cylinder, that's for sure. They are known for going quite badly at this age. But I'm just rub a bit of this in, because I'll just put some GT85. Just take opportunities to clean the excess, and I'm just going to go up here and have a bit of a clean up there. Just make sure that it's all lubricated quite nice. I'm just going to, excuse me, squirt a bit of this into here as well. It all keeps it very free moving is the word. I'm just gonna clean all around here. I like a good clean car. I don't like these hanging around, these connectors. It's just like it's just like, oh, I don't know what it is. So yeah, that goes into the back of the servo. I was also asked a question about one thing that my Focus Mark 1 is missing while I'm here, and that is, what have you done with your insulation on the bulkhead? Oh, it's horrible stuff, isn't it? That stuff, I've removed it. I've literally thrown it in the bin. It's horrible stuff. It's like a carpet on the back bulkhead. I ripped mine off. It does take a while, and it is messy, and it is dusty. You end up cleaning your engine bay because it just throws up lots of carpet dust everywhere, and it's horrible. The only part you're going to struggle with is getting it out from around the brake servo down there. The idea will be, we'll come back round here, and I did this at the same time as replacing my brake pedal assembly, is you slacken those 4 bolts off and bring this whole pedal assembly forward, and that will allow you room to move the servo forwards of the bulkhead and then rip that carpet from around it. That carpet was put on, and then the servo was put over the top of it. So if you want to do that, please do that, because aesthetically it's horrible, and it makes absolutely zero difference as far as I'm concerned. I've never noticed an increase in engine bonnet temperatures, or that might be the fraction amount of sound quality. I can hear a tiny bit more in the cabin, but it's so minuscule you'll never notice it. It's as simple as that. So no, don't worry about it. I recommend cleaning your brake pedal rubber. Just make sure it's nice and dry. I mean, you can just whip it off, but this is a brand new rubber, and this was a second-hand gas. This gas pedal is not the original, because when I bought this car, I had some sort of disabled pedal system where you push this pedal up, and there was a pedal here where your clutch would go, and it was another gas pedal. So the person who bought this car had only the use of his left foot.
but I removed it. I threw it in the bin. It was horrible, and I got a second-hand gas pedal. I probably would have kept that, I mean, for originality's sake. It was a really interesting system, but it got a bit rusty. It was like cheap monkey metal after it was made out of. So yeah, I'm just gonna clean up my steering column. It goes in there. This is why my Mark 1 is so clean. And clean your carpets all the way to the edge, guys. Don't just stop here. Clean all the way here. Yeah. That's how you get a very, very nice looking car. And it's simply the reverse. I'm just going to give that a bit of a clean up and just hook it all back together. Just put your electrics back in and put the 5 nuts back on. There isn't really any way of doing this other than having, samely guys, just be careful about these wires dangling, but there isn't really any way of doing it other than not avoiding the wires dangling. There you go. In. Lovely jubbly. Let's just close you up. Lovely. These are the most difficult ones on the corner. They don't tend to go in first time. There you go. Done. Job done. And that heater distribution linkage is now as free as anything, and therefore the cable is not going to be under any sort of pressure. It's one of them things. Just be gentle, be mechanically sympathetic on your knobs. So yeah, I'm glad I've shown you that today, and amongst a few other bits, hints and tips, while I've got the panel off and I can show you a few bits and pieces. I've got so much to show and so much to share. I'm hoping that you've enjoyed this video as usual in the world of Ford Focus Mark 1s. If you have a Ford Focus Mark 1 and you enjoy them at an enthusiast level and you have not modified it, please feel free to come and join the Mark 1 preservation group. You are most welcome. Anyway, take care.